So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Yawa Hansen-Quao. I'm a certified international business protocol consultant. I studied at the Protocol School of Washington in 2013 with the hopes of building my own knowledge about etiquette and protocol so that in my career and in my day-to-day dealings, I would be really able to come across as a more polished professional. Over the years, I've served as a consultant to different companies and worked as a coach to individuals as well, helping them also to acquire the polish of world-class professionals. So in today's presentation, I'm going to be walking you through one of my favorite presentations to give, which focuses on the power of professional presence. This really looks at how do you present yourself as a real polished professional. It helps you to understand what are the rules for how you are physically perceived, because for many of us who have come from developing countries, the rules that govern international business and international politics and international diplomacy may be a little different from what we're used to. So for example, I'm from Ghana, and I know growing up with Ghanaian parents, we were taught never to look people in the eyes if they're older than you. But that goes so far against the rules and norms that govern international meetings and international protocols and international business. So I've become very passionate about teaching this body of knowledge because I see the difference that it makes for young people, especially entering the job market, to be armed with the right type of information. For those of us who've been in the job market for several years, sometimes we find ourselves stagnant and unable to move forward. We're not getting the promotions we need to get, or we're often also, not being the ones that our employers call upon to do some of the more strategic work. And sometimes it really boils down to the way we present ourselves. So the statistics show that it takes people 5 seconds to form a first impression about you. And so that's why what we're going through today is super important. And I want you to open your mind, open your heart, and open your spirit to just receive this new win, so that when you are where it matters, you'll have the opportunity to be able to really put your best foot forward. So this is an overview of what we will be covering today. I really want us to look at the power of professional presence. I want us to be able to really understand some of the rules. I'm going to be giving you the definition of what it means to be well dressed or appropriately dressed. I use that word interchangeably. I want us to be also able to understand, the different types of dress codes. I'm sure you've gone to events before and they've told you that this is the dress code. I want you to understand what that actually means. I'm going to give you some tips for making sure that you're appearing in the right way possible, wearing clothes that complement your industry, complement your title or rank, and also complement, the impression that you're trying to create. And then we're going to end with some tips about our closet. I don't know about you, but I know as a woman, we have so many things to wear, and sometimes we become guilty of wearing the wrong thing to the wrong places. And I see this happening with men as well. Many people have become super casual in environments that were meant to be a little formal. And so I want you to just be ready to receive what is considered the world standard in terms of how to dress, and in terms of how to comport yourself, and in terms of how you show up. All right. So let's dig in. So these are my learning objectives for today. So by the time you leave today's session, I want you to be armed with an understanding of how to create the right first impression. How do you project yourself as a world-class professional who comes across as someone who understands the rules of etiquette and protocol? I want you to be considered a polished professional. I believe that everyone that I teach and everyone that I have the opportunity to coach and train really has the responsibility to leave a training like this or a session like this armed with the information that will enable them to really, really put their best foot forward no matter where they are and where they go. So the second thing I want you to be able to do is to be able to recognize and to apply the standard business dress codes. So I want you to know what business formal looks like. I want you to know what casual looks like. And I also want you to know how to be able to make decisions on your own wardrobe choices in a way that enables you to meet the dress codes for wherever it is you're going. I want you to also leave today being able to understand the importance of colors and accessories. You know, there are different industries that cater to different objectives. And because of that, they have different ways of projecting. And color is one of the most powerful ways that you can project confidence and authority. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as we go along. And then I want you to also understand the importance of grooming, how we groom ourselves, and how we use how we groom ourselves to help project this image of a polished professional or an executive who's worthy of emulation. So we'll first start with first impression. Um, I want to ask you, those of you on the call, what words would people, if I were asking people who work with you, what would they say? What words would they describe your personal brand? I wonder if you're able to unmute and share, or if you want to type in the chat box, I'm able to read your reactions as well. But what words do you think people would say if they were describing you as a brand? Don't be shy. Roberta, Samuel, what words would people use if they were describing you as a brand? All right, Samuel says always smiling. That's good. There's something powerful about a smile. A smile never goes out of style. Roberta says affable, which is good. These are really good positive attributes. And that means you're doing some things right, which is good. I do want to encourage you to be very, very mindful of the impressions that you create. The social sciences teach us that it takes people only 5 seconds to make a first impression about you. So if this is the first time you're doing a training with me, you are making an impression about me. You're making an impression about me right now based on how I'm dressed. You're making an impression right now based on how I'm speaking. You're also making an impression right now based on all of the things you're seeing. It's both nonverbal and verbal cues. So can you type in the chat? What would you say are the words that come to mind to describe me? Let's do this quick exercise. Assess me. What's the first impression I'm creating on you? Throw out all the words that come to mind. All right, Samuel says professionalism. Thank you. And Samuel, why do you feel like I've come across professionally? Roberta says eloquent. Roberta, why do you think I'm eloquent? These are all positive attributes, but I want us to think together. Why, you know, why are you saying this? Because I've not done work for you yet. I've not really, I'm in the process of delivering this seminar to you. But these are very positive attributes that you've attributed to me, and I want to understand why. What makes you think I'm professional, Robert? Sorry, Samuel. And what makes you think I'm eloquent, Roberta? All right. So Samuel says, based on my words and diction, and based on my dress code, based on my word selection and my dress code. Roberta says, I speak well and I have a good command over the English language. Great. So I hope that this proves to you that whether you like it or not, the impression that you create matters, because sometimes the reason why we repel opportunity or repel promotion is because we're not really sensitive to the power of the first impression. So before this call, I was wearing something else. It's a Saturday morning. I was doing things, taking care of things at home, and I was dressed very differently. But knowing that I was coming into a training seminar, I changed and I dressed my face and I set up my environment so that I could come across as professionally as possible, although I'm doing this training from my house. I'm actually seated at my dining room table, and I've got my computer set up, but I wanted to set up in such a way that the lighting was good so that you could see my face. And I have two screens set up so that I could see the comments with ease and still be able to present. And this is important because we're living in a very digital age. Some of you may be invited to job interviews that are conducted over Zoom. You have to make sure that you take control of your first impression. Make sure you have a strong internet connection. I logged onto the call 10 minutes before to set up my slides, to test my mic, to test my lighting. I put on the camera to see where I was seated. I blurred my background so that everything would come off to the best possible first impression. So that's that's the mindset you want to get in, because I note that many of us leave certain things to chance. We often think that, oh, what's important is that I came. And that's okay if you're talking about church. Church says, come just as you are. Jesus receives us all the way we are, right? But when it comes to the world of business and the world of professionalism, we have to really, really take care about how we show up. Because just like a book, people judge by the cover first before they open the book to see what's inside. And it's not good. I'd hate for us to waste time thinking, oh, is that good or bad? It simply is. Whether you like it or not, we are all engineered to take first impressions seriously. So as you've grown up, I'm sure you've come across people. Maybe you've met someone who immediately you met them, you just all of a sudden felt favorably towards them. Has that happened to you before? Show me by emoji or by hand raise. That's happened to me before. They haven't even said a word, they haven't even done anything, but I meet them and I just already am favorably disposed to working with them or talking to them. It's almost like they're magnetic, right? Even if they haven't said a word. But I'm sure you've also met people who immediately you meet them, you're like, you want nothing to do with them. Even though they may not have said anything, maybe it was something about the way they look. Maybe it was an odor that you smelt on them. Maybe they said, hi, good morning. And the smell that came out of their mouth was so off-putting that all of a sudden you felt, repellent, like there's something in you repelling them. And so you want to make sure you control everything you can control in a first impression. And that's the crux of what we're going to dig into today, because how you dress really communicates your personal brand. And it really helps you make or break this possibility of a good first impression. All right. So as we think about the power of first impressions, I want you to think to yourself, what are the two things you want people to think about you as a brand? I know Roberta said affable, and I think Robert, Samuel said always smiling. Are those the things that you want people to think? Because depending on the industry you're on, and depending on what your career aspirations or goals are, you should be very, very clear-minded about what type of impression you want to create. So for instance, I want to come across as a polished professional. That's why I really take pains to improve my communication. I've been on a 17-year journey as a public speaker. I've been part of Toastmasters. I've worked with speech coaches. I've worked with voice coaches so that I can hone my voice in a way that helps me come across as articulate and powerful, because I believe my voice is one of my most powerful weapons, right? The other thing I want people to think about me is that I'm a professional. And so I was really pleased when, I asked your first impressions of me, and one of them was professional and the other was eloquent, which means that I am appearing on brand. Okay. But the thing is, you can be a great speaker and you can be eloquent, but if you don't look the part, people can discount you. That's why I've also had to now start investing in really, how do I look? how do I show up as a professional? So you can, today I'm wearing, this really interesting blouse. It's a black blouse, and I have a pin on, as I'm sure you can see. And I've chosen red lip color. I've got my glasses on, which helps me see the comments with ease, especially when I'm using two screens. I've been very deliberate about my choice of clothing today because I realize that I want to come to you in the authority of a professional who is certified to teach you what I'm teaching you. But if I showed up eloquent and capable in terms of what I know, but I came in wearing like a spaghetti strap because that's how I was dressed this morning when I was just hanging out with my family. I had a spaghetti strap on. I had, no makeup on. I really wasn't looking this way that you see me now. So I say that because some of you may think, oh, but it's not what is on the outside that matters. It's only what's on the inside. But the truth is, to enable people receive what's on your inside, you really have to pay attention to how you present on the outside. So I want you to take a minute and write down the two things that you want people to associate with your brand. What are the words? I don't know what industry you're in, and I don't know what makes sense for you for where you're at right now. But I think each of us really has to be clear-minded about what kind of impression we want to leave on people, so that by the time we are, really going back to rethink our wardrobe, to rethink our choices, we have an opportunity to really, really be on brand with what we want the output to be. Okay. So let me check the chats. I don't see any of you posting yet, but people are saying yes, yes, and very true. All right. Confident and professional is what Roberto wants. Okay. So we're going to look at that because part of how you can build confidence is with the colors that you choose, with the style of clothing that you choose as well. I have invested in working with an image consultant as well. Those of you who've known me for years or followed me for years, you might notice that I look very different. I'm sporting a shorter hairstyle. I'm sporting a new look physically. I've also lost a lot of weight. So it became important to me to really work with a stylist and an image consultant to really help me hone my fashion for my new body type and for my new haircut. So similarly, there are image consultants that can work with you to help you hone what colors look best on you for your skin tone. When I worked with the image consultant, we went through the colors and we really, really helped me understand what colors work well for my skin tone. What are the types of, even when I'm getting new glasses, like what are the glasses that work well for the size of my face and the shape of my face? So there's this whole body of professional knowledge that you should not be afraid to tap into as well. Samuel, I see that you've got three words here: confident, eloquent, and intelligent. I love it. These are really great ambitions for any polished professional. And I hope by the end of today, each of you will feel very, very, confident in your ability to present yourselves in these ways. So now let's look at the power of a first impression. These are all the elements that come into play when we're trying to create a first impression. People create a first impression based on your choice of attire. That means wearing the right type of attire to match the situation you're in is so critical, right? That means the choice of accessories, the choice of adornment, what kind of earrings you're wearing, what have you done with your nails? How groomed are they or not? What kind of makeup have you chosen to wear? Also when we're looking at first impressions, we're looking at things like accessories. Men and women both wear watches. I'm wearing a watch right now. So we're going to look at that and how do we wear them? How do we use accessories to accentuate the kind of first impressions that we're seeking to create? We're also looking at grooming and appearance. Now that I'm sporting a shorter hairstyle, I realize that grooming is even more important because the hairstyle frames your face. And so every 2 weeks, I'm really trying to work with my barber to, even if I'm not bringing the volume of the hair down, I really want to shape it and make sure it looks neat and well coiffed. Sometimes I go and curl the hair or just comb it in an interesting way, but I often choose for myself my choices in grooming and appearance, accessories, and attire based on what I'm committed to that week. So if I'm not committed to anything formal or anything public, I may choose a more funky hairstyle or more funky choices. And if I have other things going on that require me to be, up front and center in something that's important, then I choose very conservative styles, very conservative dresses, very conservative on err on the side of conservatism instead of funky, eccentricity. I hope that makes sense. And then we also look at things like hand gestures. I'm using hand gestures a lot because this is a Zoom call and I want you to be able to I want to be able to emphasize what I'm saying by the use of my hands. It deepens understanding. And also the tone of voice. I am someone who has a naturally deep voice. So I have been investing a lot in communications coaches to teach me how to hone my voice so that I don't come across as too monotone or too baritone and can keep people's interest with how I speak and how I use the tones to keep my audience with me. So it's a skill that you can learn, even if you may be struggling with it now. But part of what helps you captivate an audience and create a positive first impression is your ability to modulate your voice accordingly. I hope that makes sense. So these are the key things that form a great first impression, and we're going to delve deeper into some of them. Now, the reason why we want to be well dressed and the reason why we want to make sure that we appear as our best and most polished selves at all times is that it's really a positive way to boost your own confidence. There's something about looking good that boosts confidence. Do I have some witnesses in the house? All right, show me by emoji or by a hand raise. When you look confident, when you look good, your confidence soars to a new level. Your confidence is really the bedrock on which your professionalism and your ability to demonstrate professionalism is built. So you should adopt a wardrobe that complements you physically. And that's important because some of us have nice clothes, but they don't fit us well. So it's very much less about finding nice wardrobe pieces and much more about finding the wardrobe pieces that complement your body well. You see, it may be a nice dress on somebody else because it complements their skin tones, it complements their body shape, but it's not nice on you because you don't have the same body shape and you don't have the same skin tone. So I say all that to say, being well dressed isn't about following the latest fashion trends. It isn't about being, a celebrity, because many of us are very influenced by celebrity. But the world of business and the world of professionalism is influenced by royalty. I'm going to say that again. It's very easy to be influenced by celebrities. What's hot now? What are they wearing? What are they doing? And celebrities tend to be very flashy, very eccentric. But the world of business and professionalism is influenced more by royalty than it is by celebrity. All right. If you're with me, let me know in the comments you're with me. See, royalty errs on the side of conservatism. So, for example, I often like to tell the young women that I coach that if you look at Kate Middleton's wedding dress, you did not see her cleavage pointing at you. You did not see all of her attributes on full display. It was a well-tailored, well-fitted dress, but it was not overly tight that her bosom was on full display. And it was beautiful, but it was also very conservative. That is the side of polished professionalism that I want to bring to you, because you can be stylish without showing off attributes. So for example, a lot of men these days like to unbutton their shirts to probably show a few of their chest hairs, or they like to wear really tight tops that show all of their muscles. And that is what celebrities do. But the world of business and professionalism is informed by royalty. And when you look at royalty, they dress very differently. You will not find royalty wearing very tight fitted suits and shirts and dresses. They may be very well tailored to their body, but never overly tight that their sensitive parts are on full display. And that's the visual that I want you to keep in mind as we talk about what it means to be well dressed. So be current, of course, meaning, what you're wearing is stylish. It doesn't look like we've pulled you out of the 1920s, but at the same time, err on the side of conservatism. Your clothes should also be a reflection of your personality. Now, I give you this point with a pinch of salt because not all industries welcome personality. Maybe you're someone who loves long nails, and this is something I tell the women especially. Extensions that are so long are actually inappropriate for the workplace or for professional environments. Glittery nails or nighttime makeup, anything that's glittery is better for the club than it is for the office or for a very important or very professional environment. So for office and for professional environments, you really want to err on the side of conservatism, right? So now let's understand and the what it means to be well dressed in light of the different types of dress codes, because you might have heard dress codes. Maybe you've received an invitation before, and on the invitation it said dress code formal, or dress code business casual, or dress code casual. What does all that mean? I'm going to talk to you about that right now, so that as we, continue to understand how to make great first impressions, we also do so by respecting the dress codes that govern the environments that we go to. So now let's look at formal for men. And we're going to start with men because I think theirs is so straightforward. And sometimes I get jealous because oftentimes men can get away with having so few things in their wardrobe, and they can just mix and match and make it work. And oftentimes we as women have to give it a little extra layer of thought because our choices for the various dress codes are so varied that it can be confusing. So formal business attire for men really is dark suits. So every formal business environment from a professional point of view, as informed by this Western notion of what formal attire looks like, is usually a dark suit. So either dark blue or dark brown, dark black. So either dark blue or dark black. And you want to make sure that your choices for clothing and your choices for attire really, really reflect your industry. So if, for example, you're in an industry that is in financial services, many banks and financial service firms request and require all of their staff to really be dressed in this type of format. And many of them come to work, really dressed formally all the time. So for men, please note that formal dress code really means that you've got a 2 or 3 piece dark suit on, and you want your inner shirt to be non-wrinkled. You want to make sure that it's clean. That goes without saying. I've gone to places before where you can see, dirt around the neckline of the shirt that someone's wearing. And that just really affects that first impression that you're creating. Because when you appear dirty, quote unquote, unclean or you have a stain on your collar. For some, it's things like lipstick or makeup. And that's why for women, I often try to say, be very, very careful so that, makeup, especially if it's like powder, like brown on your shirt or dress, just looks like dirt. And so you want to be careful, and if possible, just keep good skin so that you don't need the powder, which is what I try to do these days. Just keep good skin, like make sure I stay hydrated, drink a lot of water so that my skin always looks a little radiant and beautiful. I cleanse and moisturize. And if I keep good skin and just wear lipstick and line my eyes, I look fully formal without having to risk putting on all this layers of foundation and powder and all of that stuff that can stain your clothes sometimes if you're not careful. So that's one of the things that I do to try to avoid the dirt that can come across through, makeup stains or other things. And also being careful with how you eat, in public, making sure that there is a course that I teach, and I will offer this at the end if there's additional learning you'd like to do with me. There's a course that I teach on fine dining, and, I teach, the proper ways to eat. And we've got continental style, American style, and Asian style dining. And these are very, very important, tools that you need in your arsenal as well. But sometimes, it's hard to look professional if you stained your shirt with the lunch or the coffee or whatever you were drinking. So I can also teach you strategies for that. So you want to pay attention to accessories. Formal means you have a tie on if you're a man. So men, take note. Formal means that you've got a necktie on, and it's usually dark socks and dark shoes. I notice that these days men seem to prefer loafers. Loafers are not considered formal shoes. So when you've got a very formal event to go to, you really want to put on dress shoes. What, in my house growing up, we called them church shoes because that's when my brothers wore their nice dress shoes, because, they only dressed that way when we were going to church. They wore their ties and suits and their dress shoes when we were going to church. So formal dress code means if you're a man, that you're wearing something dark, a dark suit, you're wearing a nice laundered and crisp and clean shirt on the inside, and then you're wearing a necktie, and you're pairing it with dark shoes and dark socks and the appropriate accessories. For men, appropriate accessories could be a nice watch, and it could also be cufflinks. And we'll talk more about that in subsequent slides. So let me take a quick poll. You can type in the comments your answer to this question. In men's formal attire, which of these options is correct? Should your socks match your shoes? Should your socks match your trousers? Or are you unsure? Please tell me in the chat box what you think the answer is. Esmeralda, I see you've joined our call. You are most welcome. I'm looking in my chat box to see your answer to my questions. All right. Esmeralda says trousers, and good morning to you too, Esmeralda. All right. Socks should match trousers. Samuel says trousers as well. Roberta, are you able to tell us what you think as well? All right, trousers. Look at you all. You are all correct. Your socks need to match your trousers. So in formal attire for men, your socks must always match your trousers. See, we live in an age where things have become a little skewed. I know that a lot of men are now doing what they call happy socks, where it's some sort of eccentric looking socks, usually in some sort of bright color, in some sort of bright design, and they're wearing that to formal occasions. And although it looks fun and it looks interesting, and it can be and often is a conversation starter, when we are talking about what is good protocol for men's formal attire, it is that your socks must match your shoes. Sorry, your your socks must match your trousers, the shade of your trousers. All right. Now let's move on to women. In formal business attire for women, It's very, very similar to men. It's usually, a suit. So you've got a suited jacket, and you usually pair that with a skirt or pants, usually in the same color. For women, formal environments can also permit like a business dress. And many people sometimes confuse what a business dress is, but a business dress is usually a very formal, structured dress. It's usually tailored. Some business dresses are belted. Many of them come in material that reflects the type of material that you would use for a suit. They can be and usually are preferred to be in a solid color. So dark blue, like navy blue or black, or shades of dark red are usually appropriate. And it usually can be informed also by the industry that you're in. So usually if you're in the creative industry, you can get away with doing brighter and more loud colors, but the more conservative your industry is, like if you're in financial services, if you're in a sector, for religion, for example, and that's why you see many religious leaders, they have a black frock of sorts with a white collar, right? That's how you identify that this is a clergy, because they err on the side of minimalism and conservatism. So similarly, for formal business attire for women, you want to have a dark suit. You want to have the jacket with a nice blouse in it. You want, similar to what I said for the men, your shirt needs to be clean. You want it to, be well ironed, and you want it to reflect, the kind of colors that are consistent with your, with the industry that you're in, or with the company that you're in, or with the corporate dress guidelines that you have. Now, where a lot of us make mistakes as women is in our choice of accessories and shoes. Let me say this, stilettos are not made for professional wear. Stilettos, any shoe that is higher than a 4 inch, anything that's beyond 4 inches and is a thin heel, that's what we call the stiletto. They weren't made for the world of work. Usually an office heel is 2 to 4 inches. It's usually a block heel or a more sturdy heel. And it really, really needs to be comfortable enough that you can walk in it without effort. So a lot of us are wearing inappropriate shoes in the world of work, and it may be a nice looking shoe, but it might be wrong to wear in a professional context if it's more than 4 inches, if it's a narrow heel. I've been coaching executives for years, and I remember working for a company. The CEO said, look, I really want to promote this woman. She's paid her dues. She's worked in this company for several years. She is meant for promotion, but I cannot promote her. And I said, why? She said, I need you to coach her on some sensitive matters. What were the sensitive matters? Number one, I can't put her in front of people. The way she chews is an eyesore. And this woman, very competent, very knowledgeable, very, very experienced as a professional, but she chews, she had a bad habit of chewing gum as well. Smacking. She was a smacker. And it was just very off-putting to anybody that was around her at a table, watching her chew her food, or anybody who was around her, hearing her smack her gum in a way that was just so annoying. The other thing was she would wear these long heels, and the criticism that came from her leader was that she's walking like a giraffe. Who sent her to wear these shoes? I mean, they are nice shoes, but if you can't, why are you walking around like a giraffe? She's hopping from one side to side. And he's like, I just cannot imagine putting her in front of my most important clients or sending her to represent this company anywhere because of these two eyesores. And the truth is, when you are breaking the rules of polished professionalism, they border on things that people would be afraid to tell you. And that's why knowing the right thing to do, knowing the right way to present yourself, and making the great first impression that you really need to make is in your own interest, because it helps you become promotion ready and it enables you to be relevant in more spaces than you could ever imagine. So please take note. For women, high heels, you want your heels to be pumps, what we call pumps. They're usually shorter heels. They're usually way more comfortable anyway, and you should be able to walk in them without maximum effort. And then hosiery. Now, usually in our part of the world, we don't emphasize hosiery because of the warmth of our climate and environment. But usually in very formal environments, women are expected to wear what we call pantyhose. So it's just like men are in socks. We are meant to not expose our skin by wearing pantyhose. And usually you would use the same rules as apply to men, that the choice of the color of your pantyhose should match the color of the business dress you're in or the color of the business suit that you are in. But usually in these parts, you can get away with not wearing the hosiery because our weather is typically much more warm, and it can be very uncomfortable to wear hosiery in temperatures that are not temperate. So usually in Western environments where the weather is cold, especially if you've got on a business suit that is paired with a skirt, you would wear your hosiery matching the color of your choice of suit or dress. I hope that makes sense. In formal environments, you never want to wear open toe shoes. And this is a mistake I see many of us making as well. So sandals not to be paired with formal attire. Open toe shoes not to be paired with formal attire. You want closed toe shoes, typically a pointed nose shoe with a reasonably sized heel. And those shoes are called pumps, and they're usually between 2 inches to 4 inches maximum. They're usually block heel or kitten heel, and never a stiletto. I hope that makes sense. All right, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat box. I can answer as I go along. All right. Now let's move on to what business casual attire is meant to be. Does it look like? And what does it look like for men? Let's start with men. So for business casual, it means that you're still wearing a coat, but it's a less formal coat. So for men, you would wear what we call a sports jacket. They are less formal than the formal suit jackets that you would wear. In these parts, we often say a blazer instead of a coat. So a blazer or a sports jacket or a sports coat with an open collar. So business casual means you no longer have to wear a tie. You can keep your neckline open. You can unbutton it to one button or two, as long as that second button does not expose chest hair or chest, right? So for men, please err on the side of conservatism. Your business casual dress typically means that you're wearing a blazer or a sports coat with an open collar shirt. So your shirt still has a collar on it. And I see a lot of men pair blazers with polo shirts. And that's not, I see people get away with it, but it's still meant to be a collared shirt. What you'll notice about the polo shirts is that the collars, at least polo shirts in this part of the world, the collars lay low, and oftentimes you usually aren't able to pull the collars up. So usually proper business casual means that you still have a collared shirt, and that collar can stay open, but you have to make sure that that collar can stay upwards instead of downwards, okay? The other part about business casual for men, you can wear the tie or you can have it open. If you don't want to wear the coat, you can just wear the shirt with the a necktie, and that's also appropriate. Instead of, very formal pants, you can wear slacks. Slacks are things like, what you would wear if you were going, to like a very casual event. So khakis are a very common choice. Some people would pair khakis with a collared top and a jacket, and that's dressy enough to show that you've made effort, but casual enough to show that this isn't a very super formal environment. The science and the mindset behind business casual is that you will be in an environment where you can dress down. So by going in a coat, you can take the coat off and then open your collar. And if you're in an environment that needs more breeze. So for example, in old early century nobility, this is how they would dress when they would go to the horse races, for example, or to the golf courses. So it's formal enough so that you still look dressed and formal, but easy enough that you could unlayer yourself if the temperature got hot. And if you needed to, provide more ventilation for yourself. So it's not uncommon in these business casual events for men to take off the coat and put it down and then roll up the sleeves to the collar shirt, to receive some ventilation if it's needed, because these business casual events weren't often in temperature controlled environments. But when it comes to photography, then you would put your jacket back on, you would continue to give the formal impression that you're looking to create. So that was kind of the mindset behind the business casual look. Enough formality with the jacket and the collar, but enough, levity so that if you needed to take off the jacket, you could, and it would be accepted, and you could roll up your sleeves if you needed to as well. I hope this makes sense. So business casual, that's where you would see khaki. Khaki, isn't a formal attire. And I've also seen men wear khaki to formal places. Khaki is that light brownish type of shade of trouser. It's usually a little thick, and it usually is pleated. So it does do well for the business casual look. But remember, your formal look needs to err on darker colors, right? And so that's why khaki is not considered a formal trouser. Okay. All right. I've also noticed a lot of men these days like to wear the short trousers. So trousers that hang a little higher at the ankle instead of moving down. And I really want to say that that really has been informed by celebrity and not royalty. So if you want to err on the side of royalty and keep the hem of your trouser at the right length, the hem of your trouser should meet the opening of your shoes, right? So that when you sit down, the most that is exposed of your sock is your ankle area, not really anything more. So please keep the hem of your trousers to align to meet the heel of your shoes, because anything shorter than that exposes more of your socks than we are actually meant to see. Okay. Moving along to business casual for women. And this, like I said at the beginning, women have so many options in between because so many of us have been making so many interesting choices, because we've got people who, like wax print dresses, for example. And I know in Ghana, we do lots of, we take it easy on Friday, quote unquote, which means that we wear maybe tie-dye or fabric, dresses or shirts. And so for those of you who may be thinking, how does this also apply to that? Most of those outfits would fit under what we would consider business casual. Now, you may think that that's so unfair, because to formal events, I would err on the side of catering more towards a business look, unless on the invitation they have told you formal address could also include traditional. So for example, I was at an event this week for 2 days, And, I just didn't feel like wearing suits. This is one of my favorite kind of suited outfits. I wear this quite a bit and I pair it with a black skirt and with formal shoes. But I just felt like, so I asked the organizers, can we also do traditional? And they said yes. And I had, on day one of the conference, I wore a kente dress. Now I sewed that dress in the template of a business dress. So it didn't look like the normal kente that we sew, those kente dresses that have those tight corsets that have become very in vogue now. No, that's not the type of dress that I wore. I wore kente material sewn in the style of a business dress. So it was high collared like this one. I do like these high collared blouses and tops. It was high collared because sometimes, those of us with cleavage, lots of cleavage, when we have things that should be a V-neck or a low neck, sometimes just because we have ample bosom, our bosom spills out of the clothes and makes us look a little less professional than we should. So I usually like to err on the side of very formal high neck so that there's no guessing for me and no risk of indecent exposure. So that's what I did. So if for those of you who like the traditional materials, you like the GTP, the Woodin, the Blisco, and all of that, if you are in doubt, ask your organizer of whatever event you're going to, that you've said it is business formal, is traditional allowed, and only wear and try to wear traditional material and tailor your dresses still to a more, business formal look. Um, because I find that that helps. And on day two of the event, I wore another kente outfit, but this one was a blazer. I had a kente blazer, and then I paired it with a black skirt. And so for me this past week, I was really channeling Africa and channeling Ghana, wearing my kente, but also presenting it in a very formal style so that everyone who saw me acknowledged that I still looked very professional, but also very traditional. And so there are ways that you can work with, image consultants and with others to just mimic these very formal looks in our traditional materials. All right. So for women, business casual could mean many things. And that's why I wanted to talk about our traditional fabrics, because even if you're going to wear something made out of tie-dye or a block print, try to sew it into business styles. So, one style that I like is shirt dresses. So I do often wear shirt dresses that have a collar that maybe open to one or two buttons, and it's in the style of a dress and it's belted. And so in an environment like that, you're casual, but you're still dressed up, right? And pairing it with, pumps, low heels, or flats works really well for business casual. Business casual for women is where you would wear wedges. I know a lot of people wear wedges to formal occasion, and wedges are not seen as very professional shoes. So, if you're at an outdoor event, especially a garden party, I've been a victim of this before, where your heels start piercing into the grass. And so wedges are perfect for an environment like that, where you're outdoors, where you're in an outdoor environment. So you can do wedges for business casual, but do not do wedges for formal attire. They weren't really designed for that. All right. So for business casual, low heels and pumps or flats are fine. You can wear blouses and pair them with tops. I also encourage women to think about the shape of their body and the size of their body. Something that could work well for a woman that is thin might not work really well for a woman that is quite heavy. So for some of us who are heavier than most, wearing trousers needs to be thought of. Like, what kind of trouser are you going to wear, and what kind of blouse would you pair it with? So for me, for example, when I do wear trousers, I want to have a good fit. I don't have huge hips, but I do like my blouse to cover my bum, just as a way of coming across professional. because again, you want to be in an environment where people are thinking of you not as a sex symbol or as, a sex symbol or someone who's stirring up attraction, but someone who's stirring up this notion of professionalism. So, for example, last weekend, well, actually, it was Monday, which was a public holiday here in Ghana. I had a business meeting, and because it was a holiday, I knew I didn't want to be too dressed up because after that business meeting, I was going to go meet up my family. We were having a poolside day with the kids. So I said, so I chose a pair of black slacks, and then I chose a collared striped shirt. So it was long sleeves, collared, and all of that. And I could dress it up and dress it down. So I had, accessories, my watch, my earrings, and I made up my face and all of that. But once I was done with the meeting, I rolled up the sleeves to it and went to the pool and changed my shoes, and I was also fine with that same outfit. And so you want to think about versatility, and you want to think about pieces in your wardrobe that you can use. You can dress up and you can dress down, because that same blouse that I wore that day, I could put a black jacket over it and make it formal, a part of my formal attire, pairing it with a suit. So I like to invest in wardrobe pieces that I can dress up and dress down. And I think for women, as we think about what business casual means, I would encourage you to invest in pieces. I like investing in wrinkle-free blouses because I travel a lot and I, move about a lot, and I'm a busy mother. So sometimes I don't have the patience or the time to be ironing in the morning. And when I have very formal suits and things, I take them to the dry cleaners so that all of the time they're in good shape and the color isn't fading. And I let them dry clean it instead of washing them and press it differently so that I can get more longevity out of these suits than I would if I was trying to take care of it by hand washing and ironing it myself. So these are some of the tips that have worked for me investing in wrinkle-free clothing. And I think they do have wrinkle-free shirts and things for men as well. So think about that as a way of making sure you always look fresh and crisp, even if you don't have time to be ironing or caring for the wardrobe in a way that enables it to thrive. All right. In other jurisdictions, things like sweaters, long sleeve sweaters, open front sweaters over a nice blouse is also seen as a good way to do business casual. One of the ways that I like to do business casual in Ghana is these northern material, the northern kente with the stripes on them. Maybe I'll have a front opening, long jacket paired over a nice blouse and a pair of slacks. And I will pair it with a pair of loafers or with a short heel. And that I see works really, really well for business casual. All right, I hope this is all making sense. Now let's look at what casual means for men. So these photos say it all. Casual means, a shirt, a pair of trousers. You want to be belted if you can. You can wear a vest. You have quite a few options, but notice that all of these casuals still have collared shirts. So I tell the men in my life, there's something about a collar on a shirt that just says, take me seriously. And that's why, I know it's popular for a lot of guys to wear these t-shirts and things like that. But, if you're someone who's trying to build your brand as someone to be taken seriously, you cannot go wrong with a collared shirt, because even your casual doesn't look wretched, because some men who wear t-shirts end up looking a little more wretched than they should, because maybe the shirt doesn't fit them well, or maybe the neck of the shirt has started stretching out, or it doesn't look fitted, or but you can't really go wrong with a really well kept collared shirt. So that's why you see it featured here, even though we're talking about casual for men. Now, casual is where you should be comfortable wearing loafers, maybe in some extreme cases, sneakers, if your industry allows it, or if, but sneakers are considered casual wear. And that's why you saw no mention of sneakers when we were talking about business casual and when we were talking about formal. I've gone to very formal events and I've seen men wearing sneakers. It's a no-no. So please, follow the rules, not of celebrity, but of royalty. You would never see King Charles of the UK showing up to a formal event in sneakers, but you would see Jay-Z doing that. He's a celebrity. They walk by a different set of rules. And quite honestly, they have endorsement deals for some of the things that they wear. So it's not always the wisest to follow the trends of celebrity. You, as women as well, you might find that many, you might see Beyonce or Jennifer Lopez or some of these other celebrities that you might follow. Their suits are tight and fitting and they're like corsets. That's no, no, no. We weren't meant to be wearing our suits that tight. We weren't meant to be wearing attire that draws so much attention to our figures. The purpose of formal and business casual attire really isn't to show off our bodies, but to show off our minds. And that's what I want to remind you of, especially men, because these days you see the men wearing the body shirts that clench every part of their chest and their muscles. Yes, we know you've been going to the gym, and yes, we know you're very proud of your work, but it really breaks the rules of formal dress and polished professionalism when every bit of you is on full display through your choice of attire. So for men, your casual dress is the only space where you can wear sneakers, and you want to make sure that, this is where you wear polo shirts as well. The golf shirt is what they call the polo shirt. So polo shirts, they're considered casual. Khakis, you can pair that with khaki as well because khaki is less formal than the dress trousers. You can also look at these open collars, and I like open collars for men because again, you can dress it up and you can dress it down. Right. Okay, Esmeralda, you're saying you wonder if there are visuals. I've been looking on the attendees page, looking at broccoli this entire time until you mentioned pictures. Can everyone see my screen? I hope you can see my screen, Esmeralda. I'm actually going through a presentation. Okay, Samuel says he can see it. I hope you can see my screen. And apologies if you were looking at my my display photo instead of the slides. So so yeah, going on. Yeah, the photos aren't really about my broccoli and my status. It's about the presentation. So I hope you're catching it now. Now let's look at casual for women. This is something that I see a lot of women get wrong as well. Casual does not mean you're wearing something that looks like you just woke up. Casual means you're still erring on the side of formality. So you can wear a skirt, a dress, you can wear something casual. In fact, I've been in places where I've seen women wearing what looks like club attire. And so anything that is glittery doesn't belong in an office setting. Anything that has sparkle doesn't belong in an office setting. So it's plain colors, usually solid colors. If you're wearing something that is an African print, you want to err on the side of muted colors that really align with the industry that you're in. You want sensible accessories. The office environment isn't a place for all of your rings, those fashion rings, those huge rings, the fashion rings, or bangles, so that every time you move your hand, your bangles are moving and making noise and distracting. So casual doesn't mean no effort. Casual just means that you don't have to have a jacket on. It doesn't mean that you're risking, looking shabby. And same rules apply as to what I said for men. If it can be a collared dress shirt, it's always better. Clothes that are more structured make you look more professional than clothes that are flowy. So things like the boo-boo and clothes that you just swim around in, you want to avoid those, but you want to look very structured. So I like the shirt dresses for that reason, a nice collar, something belted in the middle, and the rest of it goes down. I like dresses that are peplum, in shape because I have I just have that as a taste, and it comes across looking very formal. Pair it with a reasonable pair of flats or short heel or even loafers, and that would work really well as a look for casual for women. All right. All right. So as we think about the rules of international business, I really want to encourage you as you think about, presenting yourself as a polished professional to the rest of the world, that you think about, formal business attire as you think internationally. So let's say you're traveling internationally to a conference, don't err on the side of business casual or casual, err on the side of business formal, right? So formal conservative business attire, you can never go wrong with. So that's your dark colored suits, your really well taken care of inner shirt. For men, it should have a collar. For women, it can or may not have a collar. You want to invest in quality fabrics. And for me, quality fabrics have made a world of difference, because many of the clothes in my closet I've had for years because I bought clothes that had quality fabrics. Some of my favorite dresses I've had, I haven't done a lot of like extensive business shopping since 2016. And that says a lot. That means many of my business pieces have lasted me going on 10 years. So I want to encourage you to think about the quality over quantity. And I thoroughly believe that you don't have to have a full closet to dress well. You have to just really know what to pair with what in order to get the right outcomes and to give the right type of impressions wherever you are. You want to also think about your accessories, invest in a good watch. I really encourage people to invest in a good watch. And it doesn't mean it has to be an expensive watch, but a watch that, I like versatility. So I typically wear my Apple Watch and I change straps. So I have different straps that kind of blend in with the color of clothes that I'm wearing. Or where I'm going. So I have like silver and gold, and this is like rose gold color, depending on what I'm wearing, just to match it. Sometimes if I don't feel like wearing a digital watch, because some environments you go to, then all your notifications are coming up in a time that's distracting. I do have another analog watch that I wear. Um, and again, just the versatility is helpful. I typically am not a big jewelry person. So besides my wedding band that I wear on my left hand, I typically don't wear fashion rings and I don't wear tons of bracelets. And if I do wear a bracelet, it's usually one. I don't like the distraction of multiple things coming and going, And for international business, we want to err on the side of conservatism rather than style and celebrity fashion. Okay. So I hope that makes sense for those of you who are, thinking about kind of this international edge. It really needs to err on the side of super formality. Now, as I said before, we now live in a digital age. Most of us are interviewing or having meetings. What you wear to a video Zoom is important too. So I really want you to dress the part as if you were dressing in the office or as if you were in front of that person. I remember throughout COVID, when all of us were working from home, I would still get dressed. I would still put on makeup. I would even still put on perfume, which my husband thought was so extra because I did not want to err on the side of informality. And it helped. I'd get on the calls with my teams and it just assured them that we're on top of things. It's going to be well. This is what we're doing. When I go to my board meetings dressed up with makeup on and all of that, it just adds to the feeling that I'm on top of things, and it adds to the sense that I'm a polished professional. So I tell you, it really matters the way you show up, even if it's on a Zoom. Dress neatly, dress professionally, make sure you have good lighting, you have non-distracting backgrounds. So I was saying at the beginning of the call that before I logged on, 15 minutes before, I was picking where I would sit because I wanted enough lighting that you would see me, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't so much distraction behind me as well. And that's partly why I blurred my background so that you can focus on me and what I'm saying instead of anything else that goes on around me. So again, these are some of the tips I want you to be mindful of. And I added this part because most of us will be doing a lot on virtual platforms, and you really need to look the part no matter whether you're appearing in person or virtually. Usually for virtual calls, business casual is fine, but I say it just depends on who's on the other side. If it's a business, you paid me to teach you today, so I needed to get dressed up for you. So for me, this is a business formal encounter. I wanted to err on the side of formality. But judge how you show up by who's on the other side of the call. And so I hope this is helpful. Let me see your answer to this question. What's acceptable attire in your industry and where you conduct business? Let me know more about your industry. Is it business formal? Is it casual? Is it super casual? Or is it all of the above? Which of these dress codes do you foresee yourself using? All right, Samuel says formal. Roberta says formal. Good. I'm reading your comments. All right. All right. So I think we're aligned because formal actually is what the international world uses. Okay. Esmeralda says all of the above. You see, I like to tell the people that I mentor and coach that err on the side of formality. And if they have a saying in the US, if you dress like the boss, you look like the boss, you walk like the boss and talk like the boss, you eventually become the boss. So if you have ambitions for leadership, I encourage you to mirror the dress style of your leadership. That even though you may be in a low employee role, have aspirations to reflect the leadership style of dressing, because quite often that is usually what the industry tends to. All right. So I want us to also understand colors, because colors are also a really important, significant factor when it comes to how we're perceived. And it is an important element to think about as you start paying closer attention to how you show up in your business attire. So colors for me, I like understated colors, especially for nails. I don't know if you can see my nails, but muted colors or natural colors for my nails. Even though I have extensions, they're very low extensions. And I really want to encourage the women on the call to think about your professionalism, not in terms of celebrity, but in terms of royalty. If you look at photos, in fact, after today's seminar, I want you to just Google royalty, like Queen of England or Queen of this or Princess that, and just look at how they dress. You won't see excesses. And in fact, often you won't see long nails. They're usually very well manicured and short. For men, the same. So look at every aspect of how royalty shows up and try to mirror that, especially even in colors. See, colors can help you boost this notion of credibility, of confidence, and of showing of your personality. Today, I'm in a red lip. Red is my solid color of power, right? And I'm going to show you some of the meanings of some of the colors. So everyone needs these foundational colors in their wardrobe. You want to have some gray and some black and something dark blue, right? Foundational colors to build on. Usually these pinstriped suits are for very formal environments. So I love the navy blue pinstriped or the black and white pinstripe or the shades of gray pinstripes. But these should serve as your foundations for your wardrobe, especially your formal wardrobe for Western style and fashion. If you're making a business dress, for a woman, think about these shades. If you're making or buying a business suit, think about these shades, right? Now, if you're trying to boost the feeling of credibility, shades of blue are great, right? These shades of blue that, usually navy blue is quite dark, and then sometimes it gets a little lighter. But blue is a power that communicates calm, stability, trust, and confidence. Black is the authority. I chose black today because I'm trying to come to you in my authority as a certified business etiquette and international protocol consultant. So black is really, the color of power and it denotes drama and authority. And then gray is that color of sophistication. No distractions, but quiet, calm sophistication. So think about that as you might be looking at your wardrobe right now. What shades of gray, what shades of blue, and what shades of black can you integrate to really help use color in a way that helps you present yourself as someone with a lot of polish and professionalism? I also want you to think about how you can wear the colors because, red is a really strong color. Those of you who follow US politics might notice that Donald Trump almost always wears a red tie. He wears a dark colored suit, always and almost always powered by a red tie. And red is this power of like, really powerful, dynamic, but also brightness and stability. And I don't know who his image consultant is, but he almost always comes into the public light wearing red. So red is a great color to try to integrate into your wardrobe. And these are some examples of how you might do it. It could be a little red as a pocket square for the men. It could be a red tie for women. It could be a red blouse. But you can think about how you can merge these colors as well, because black and blue and gray, maybe it's a gray suit with a blue tie with a white shirt. So think of how you can mix and match, and don't be afraid to work with professionals. I have worked with image consultants to help me just get my wardrobe under control. And if you're able to, I'd encourage you to do the same. All right. So red is that color of passion, energy, and sometimes even aggression. And that's why I like the red lip color, especially when I'm doing a dark color. The red just is where the energy comes from in my wardrobe. So I love these shades of red. I like the lip colors in really vibrant shades of red. There are different shades, right? So I like the vibrant ones. There's a shade of MAC red that I like. This one's called Ruby Woo. There's another one called Brick Red. Those are the reds that I gravitate to when I'm trying to give my look a feeling of passion and energy. For men, you could integrate red into your look with the pocket square or with the tie like Donald Trump does. Sometimes I do red nail polish if I'm trying to integrate that into the look as well. But it all depends on where I'm going and what I'm doing and what's on the schedule, because I think really knowing the audience that you're going to be in front of matters and should really inform how you decide to show up. The lighter colors really denote approachability. And white is the color of simplicity and precision. So that's why a really good white crisp shirt on the inside of a dark jacket does wonders. All right. So there are so many different colors. And, we have to acknowledge the fact that not every color looks great on everybody. So what I'm giving you are very general guidelines. And I'd love for you to encourage, exploration and, you know, experimentation so that you just kind of see which shades of gray work well with your skin tone. And that's why for me, working with an image consultant mattered, because the image coach draped me with so many different colors until she found me my signature color. So I know what my signature color is. She provided me a color swatch so that when I go shopping, I don't shop outside of my signature colors. And it makes a world of difference because when I show up in places, I almost always look on point, and I almost always have someone complimenting on not just what I'm wearing, but the colors and how it suits me. Okay. And like I said at the beginning of the call, last year in October, I decided to cut my hair, and now, I started to get counsel again for how to dress for this new shape of face. Now that I have shorter hair, how do I choose clothes that still complement that? And even, my choice of lenses for my glasses and the choice of accessories, because you want to be mindful that if you want to make a great first impression, how you show up matters. Okay. So for men, um, the blue shirt and the power tie is a really, really great, important part of your wardrobe. Having a blue collared shirt and a white collared shirt is really, really important. If we were in person, we would have done this activity where I would have asked men to come forward, and then we would, kind of ask the audience to rate. But since we're not in person, I'm going to skip this as an activity, but just talk broadly in terms of the fact that in your wardrobe, really good colors to invest in for ties, red and blue. Red, as we have seen, is a color of power and passion, aggression. Blue is a color of trust and confidence. So really make sure that you invest in these pieces if you don't have them already. You want to make sure that you can pair it in different ways. And these are different examples of pairing a really good blue shirt with a power tie. So you don't have to be afraid of designs and patterns. It doesn't mean, you can't wear patterns, but it just means you want to pair them well. So in the middle is someone pairing a solid blue tie with a solid blue shirt. And they're different shades of blue, but they're paired very well. And he still looks very professional. But you can pair it with a design, as we see in both the other two pictures. So again, the options are endless. And depending on your skin color, your body type, and your choices, you can mix and match and experiment to find what really, really works for you. With women as well, we've got to be mindful of our makeup. There's daytime makeup and there's nighttime makeup. There's club makeup, which has sparkle and shine. And then there's office makeup, which is meant to be light, erring on the side of conservatism instead of celebrity. So celebrities come up with all of this makeup. They wear all of the eye extensions, the false lashes, the long nails, and that's not meant for professional wear. So I really want to encourage you to think less about yourself in terms of celebrity and more in terms of royalty. I find that you want to be wearing less makeup. You want to look less made up. You just want to use makeup to accentuate your features. So maybe you line your eyes so that your eyes show up better. So for instance, this morning, all I have is a little bit of eye lining and lipstick. I didn't do powder. I didn't do anything, just so that you can see me well, and that, I'm accentuating and sharing, highlighting my face, but not necessarily altering my image. And that's what a lot of us mistakenly do with makeup. We are altering our image, that oftentimes people see us and they do a double take. Who is this? Who are you? And because as women, we change our hairstyles very often, I really want to encourage you to think about what is your signature look. What is your signature style? Because part of what helps you set yourself out as a polished professional is being able to be recognizable and identifiable, right? So have a signature look. Have a way that you keep your hair most times, so that people don't have to do a double take, because today you're in braids, tomorrow you're in cornrows, tomorrow you're in short hair. Men have this a bit easier because they're usually short haired all the time. But for women, it can be hard to just really develop a signature look. And I have found that it's been meaningful to just have a signature look and just stick to that for prolonged periods of time and build a brand of reliability around that. So I hope this is helpful. For men, cufflinks are really a great addition to your shirts. You want to err on the side of royalty with that as well, unless you're doing business casual or casual looks. Casual looks, my husband, one of the gifts that I gave him as an anniversary gift recently, well, he loves Superman. So I found Superman cufflinks. But those are not the cufflinks that he should wear when he's going to a formal occasion. It's like if he's at a business casual event, he can and should wear his Superman cufflinks, right? So again, you can and should exhibit personality through how you dress, but don't let your personality overwhelm your look. I hope this is helpful. So as we wrap up, let's look at accessories for men. I just talked about the cufflinks. I talked about the ties. You know, there's what they call the tie bars or the tie clips to keep the tie in place, because for some men, we find that their ties get crooked. You know, learn how to tie a tie if you can, if you don't know how to do one already. Or you get the clip-on ties, which are so easy. They're already knotted, and all you have to do is clip it on. Investing in pocket squares is always good. And socks, you know, these funky socks that a lot of people do these days aren't really formal. So please use that with caution. Unless you're in a casual environment or a business casual environment, I wouldn't even try wearing these funky socks, okay? Because we learned that the socks should match your trousers, and often these funky socks have designs and prints, and they're usually in very eccentric colors that can throw off this sense of professionalism that we're trying to develop. So if you want to be a polished professional, you really have to think about the colors of your socks and other accessories. For women, one of the things that I like to encourage us to invest in is scarves and shawls, you know, because this could be a great way to show your personality, add a pop of color to your attire. But at the same time, these shawls could come into practical use. So sometimes if I'm wearing a business suit or a business dress and I sit down and the skirt comes up a little, I can just put the shawl over my legs and still appear as polished and professional without exposing too much of my legs or too much, you know, skin, as it were. So these are also some of the ways that you can develop, you know, pieces in your wardrobe that enable you to come across as more of a polished professional. All right, I think I talked about this already. The earrings that are too large and dangly, the bracelets that are too numerous and loud. I've talked about the rings on every finger. You want to err on the side of simplicity, you know, especially those fashion rings. Some of those fashion rings, when you're shaking someone's hand and their fingers get caught in between your rings, it's so painful and uncomfortable. You don't want to do anything that's oversized or overstated. Minimalism is what we want to err on the side of. And then
Your microphone is muted. Can you please check it for us? Thank you.
Oh dear. Okay, thank you. I didn't realize my microphone was off. Let me take you back to the presentation then. All right. So we were almost done. We were here. So I was talking about grooming. I talked about this during the presentation, but I want to say it some more, that you want to err on the side of keeping short nails, considering a more natural look for those of you who do your nails. And if you're wearing perfume or cologne, you want to make sure that you're wearing, minimal amounts of it. Avoid heavy perfume or cologne. Some people are allergic, and in environments, it can be overpowering. You also want to make sure that you're wearing fitted pants. So I don't know if you can see my screen right now, but this is what you want it to look like if you're a man. You want your pant legs to fall straight from your hips with no curve under your buttocks, right? And you know that your pants are well fitted if you can put two fingers in between you and the trousers comfortably. So if you can't fit two fingers in while you're wearing your pants, these trousers are too tight. If you can't fit in, two fingers while you're wearing these trousers, they are way too tight. Okay. And the pant leg should have a slight break at the instep, right? And that's where the trouser meets the heel of your shoes. So you want it to fall straight. Your trousers shouldn't fit right under your buttocks. You should have enough space. And you want to make sure that it's not so tight that the pockets are being pulled open. Similarly, for women, you don't want to wear skirts that are terribly tight. Skirts or trousers that are too tight aren't professional. So the skirt should fall straight from your hip and shouldn't pull. It should be hemmed mid-knee, meaning like it should fall on your knees, like just under, right on or just under your knee. And similarly, you should be able to fit two fingers into it. If you can't put two fingers in the waist of your your skirt, it's too tight. All right. So for the proper fit for your jackets and your shirts and your blouses, you want to avoid tight sleeves. So you should be able to bring your arms up and to cross your arms with no pulling, from your back or upper arm of the shirt. And you really, for when you're wearing a jacket over the shirt, at least half an inch of the shirt sleeve should be able to extend from the arm of the jacket. If not, it's too short. All right. So everyone should invest in having a place where you can get professional alterations done, because sometimes you buy a jacket and it's not as fitted as it should be. Maybe you can take it to someone who does professional alterations so that they fit it to your body. Maybe the shirt was too long. You can take it and have it altered, because again, your first impression is too important to leave it to chance. I want you to make sure that everything that you wear has the proper fit. And then organizing your closet makes your whole life a whole lot easier. I want you to, as homework, take inventory of the clothes in your closet and accessories, and just discard anything that has fallen out of style and doesn't really complement this new brand that you're trying to create for yourself. Most of you said you want to be considered professional, you want to be considered eloquent and someone who is confident. And now take a new look at your wardrobe. Take a new look at the clothes in your closet and see whether or not the clothes in that closet are really helping you to do that. All right, so this is the end of today's presentation. I hope it's been interesting. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope that you will put into practice all of the things I've shared with you today. And I wish you all the best in your journey to creating an executive and professional image for yourself as a polished professional. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, I am happy to answer them. All right, Esmeralda, I see you saying very informative. Thank you. Samuel, I see you clapping. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to share these insights with you today. This is one of my favorite courses to teach because oftentimes, when you're an adult, you feel like you've learned. Like I know how to eat, I know how to live, I know how to do things. Why are you talking about this stuff? Why are you saying this to me? But sometimes we just don't know that some of the things that we're doing are really affecting people's perception of us. And if we want to come across as a polished, world-class professional, how we dress and how we show up matters. So thank you very much for signing up for today's session, for being as engaged as you've been. I don't see any comments or sorry, I don't see any questions in the Oh, yes, I love what you said, Roberta. She says it's been insightful. I am choosing royalty over celebrity. I love it. I love it. Next level growth. I love it because too many of us are just following blindly what the celebrities are doing, and it's affecting our ability to be promoted. I've been coaching women for a long time, and sometimes we look too sexual in the workplace that people can't take us seriously. And so I've seen the difference that it makes when we start presenting ourselves as polished professionals. Nobody brings sexual harassment to us. Nobody like it, because if we do all of this right, we're not dressing in such a way that we're provoking certain types of sexual attention. So I see that this is also just so liberating in terms of the way people address us and the way people, respond to us if we get it right. And I see this opens up a world of opportunity for men as well. So thank you all. As I said, I'm going to email you the workbook that goes with this course so that you'll have all the notes in one place, you'll have guidance in one place, and all of the information in one place. I'll also share with you the recording because there are some people who signed up for this class that couldn't be here today, and I'll give you access to the recording for a 3-day period so that if you need to go back to this, if you need to really just reiterate some of the points that I shared, you'll be able to access it. But on this note, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to be advertising some other courses that I'm going to be doing. And if you want to continue building on this body of knowledge, the next one I'm going to be doing is on business etiquette. So I'm going to be talking about things like proper handshake, proper interactions in the work environment, sitting, entering a room, sitting down, interfacing in meetings, things like that. I'll send more information via email. And if it's of interest to you, this is a class that I'm going to be teaching next month. I'd be happy to have you in my class or in my seminar again. But thank you again for trusting me with your time, letting me be a part of your weekend and part of your unfolding success journeys. And God willing, we will meet again at a future class. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye, Awa. Thank you so much.
You are so,
Thank
so
you so
welcome.
much, Awa, and bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.